Hey there, and welcome to the Cinnamon Effect podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Hand, and I'm thrilled to have you with me on this vibrant journey of discovery and growth. This podcast is your go-to space for embracing intention, where you'll find clarity on your unique path, deepen those meaningful connections, and unleash your creativity like never before. We'll explore how to build unshakable confidence and celebrate the beauty of gratitude, all while savoring the calm that consistency brings to our lives. Thank you for being with me. Let's sprinkle a little cinnamon into your day and make life sweeter, healthier, and more fulfilling. Welcome back to the Cinnamon Effect. Today, I am here with Christina Woods. Christina is an internationally recognized clinical hypnotherapist, rapid transformational therapist, empowerment coach, and Reiki master. She empowers women to overcome self-sabotage, break free from limitations, and discover their inner strength to create fulfilling lives. As the founder of Woods Hypnotherapy, Christina's signature method combines hypnotherapy, coaching, and energy healing for profound personal transformation. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to talk to you because, as you stated, you help high-achieving women break free from imposter syndrome, not feeling like they're enough. And I do feel like after talking to so many high-achieving women that you would think they've got it all figured out, but there's so much deep down behind, the surface of what is really going on. And it's a constant battle against your own self, right?
Against our own selves. Yes. Yes. Yeah. My own story, high achieving, and like so many women, we're holding it together, and on the outside, it's, we're doing so well. But yeah, I move women from this persona of perfectionism, and we've got it all together, and all the boxes are checked. And yet there's this feeling of why doesn't it feel great? What's wrong with me? Why am I still so exhausted? Or what am I missing? Or what's the piece why do I still not feel fulfilled? And so many of the women I work with, including myself for so long, will think something's wrong with us, or I got to do something more. And so, that was my journey. That's why I do what I do. But yeah, it's incredible. And it's led me to the subconscious work we'll talk about. But I have a passion for working with high achieving women because it's not about doing more.
Right. You would think like we already have full plates. So why would doing more make us feel better? I love that you're saying it's not doing more.
Right. I mean, if doing more and working more hours, or getting another degree were the ticket, I think we'd all already be there, right?
Right.
Been there, done that. Look on LinkedIn. There's a lot of amazing women who've achieved quite a bit. And most of those women, the first thing they call me and say is, I don't feel fulfilled. Like I have everything. I've done the TED Talk. I'm an author. I run teams around the world. And I'm exhausted. I don't feel fulfilled. So, we have our conscious mind. And I think that sometimes can be such a dangerous thing because logically, we so often think we can figure things out. And that control piece makes us feel like we can figure it out. We need that analytical mind, but it's our subconscious mind, where you said in the beginning, where we're the ones that get in our own way, because our subconscious mind is our feeling mind, and it's our emotions, and it's 95% of what's driving the ship, but it's also our blind spot. And that's where we make profound changes. So that's where we can really find out, well, why do we constantly think that control or doing more? If we can get to that root, we actually can make profound changes where you realize, gosh, people pleasing or doing more isn't the ticket. What is the ticket? Is finding out why. Why do you think you have to do more? So we can turn that into some self-compassion and really allowing yourself to love the life that you've created. Because you get to be successful and high achieving. But you also get to relax and find ease in life too.
Yes, the relaxation and the ease. Now, is it actually like an energetic block for somebody? It's in their subconscious. So I'm really curious like how your process works, and if maybe people aren't as familiar with what actual hypnotherapy is.
Yeah.
So if you want to kind of dive into that and talk about what it is and how you tackle those feelings for people.
Sure, sure. So hypnotherapy is accessing a part of our mind that, like you and I talking right now, we don't have access to that part of our mind, our subconscious mind. We're just talking on a wave length in our mind that is pretty logical, pretty analytical. But take children, for instance. Children learn so many amazing things by the time they're 7 years old. Think about it. They're walking, they're talking, they can learn so many languages. We try to learn a language when we're older. It's like, it's pretty difficult, right?
Mhm.
But brain waves when we're young are like little sponges. So by the time we're 7 years old, there's a lot of programs, a lot of beliefs about ourselves that aren't even true, that were created to keep us safe, not to keep us happy, not to keep us productive, not even necessarily right or wrong or good or bad. They don't care if you're really thriving. They're really just there to keep us safe. And then the vault sort of shuts down around 7, and we go about our life and we turn 30, 40, 50, so on. We're running businesses, we're entrepreneurs, and we're moving through life. We're pretty successful. We're saying, I'm running a family, I'm running a business, moving up the ladder here. But those beliefs that shape how we respond to things, those don't know how old we are. Our subconscious mind does not care how old we are. It doesn't care if you get the promotion. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care you're people pleasing. You're saying yes to too many things. It just cares that you're safe. So what we do in hypnosis is we just access that part of your subconscious, and we find out, okay, why are you constantly comparing yourself to others? Or why do you say yes to too many projects because it makes you feel like you're the one in the office that can take on more? Or, I can remember running through airports and coming back and saying, yes, I'll make all the orange slices for the soccer team. And yes, I'll give the amazing, birthday party for my son. And yes, I'll do all the things. And yes, I'll also run the board meeting. And yes, we just high achieving women or people, period. We say yes to a lot of things when our nervous system and our body is like freaking tired, and also needs to say no and say yes to rest. But we feel like sometimes we can be little machines. So this, in hypnosis, we're able to go back and find out, well, what's the root cause of the reason we're doing that? What are the beliefs behind that? And when we find out the belief, we're able to have compassion for the part of us that believe that and the reason for that. And we're able to actually understand it and then say, all right, to your mind, that made sense at that age. That made sense that you needed to believe that. But now you're this age, and we can reverse it and rewire it. We have neuroplasticity in our minds. We're able to create new neural pathways, or like new little highways in our mind. We learn through repetition. And it's very, very quickly we can create a new neural pathway, a new belief that allows us to say, wait a second, I can earn money without hustle. I can earn money without frantic chaos. I can earn money and ease without total control. Because control and being high achieving is often kind of goes hand in hand. Like I can let go and delegate, and it's still going to be done right. It doesn't have to be my way. Letting go of that and our nervous system feeling safe, it literally has to become familiar. If it's not familiar, the brain will reject it. And we can make those things familiar. And only if it's familiar will it become safe to our body. And so through hypnotherapy, we can make something new familiar. If it's not familiar, even if it's good for you, your body and brain are going to go, yeah, no, I don't think so. You want to rest and make money? Yeah, no, that's not been familiar. You're used to doing something stressed out. That's the way that's familiar. And you're trying to make something new. It's like kind of dieting. If something's not new and familiar, I mean, if all diets worked, we'd only have one diet. There's like what, thousands and millions of diets. So
Right.
we want to make something new familiar. So hypnosis is really about finding out the root cause and just making that new belief familiar. So
Okay. So if you are stressed out, you're people pleasing. Let's say that's the trait that you're a habitual people pleaser. Even though you're doing that as an adult, does that always revert back to those first 7 years of your life that you learned at some point that that was the way to keep yourself safe? Does it always, I guess what I'm asking is like,
yeah,
as adult behavior, does it always revert back to that period of time in someone's life?
it usually goes back to, yes, a very, very early childhood experience. It doesn't mean we had a bad experience. It doesn't mean we had a traumatic or a bad childhood or bad parents or anything. It's always the meaning we attach to something. It can be experiences that we had in our teens, in our 20s, and so on. But those are usually reinforced from things we experienced in our childhood. So, for example, you can have your parents pick you up late from a soccer game. And the meaning we attach is, I'm the last one on the soccer field. It might mean my parents loved me less than my brothers and sisters, when in reality, they're running around, picking up everybody, doing their best, and got off work late, doing amazing. But to the 7-year-old who got picked up last, the meaning they attached was something very different. It doesn't mean it was the truth. It's the meaning we attached. Or a comment, I can't tell you how many times a teacher's comments that were maybe not the kindest comments, but the meaning that we attached in second grade. Well, I didn't do good. I didn't read that out loud. I fumbled my words. Everybody laughed or giggled at me. I don't know how to speak. I can't say things, the right way. So maybe I'm not a good speaker. Okay, well, we were in second grade. We were nervous, but maybe the kid next to us was very gregarious and spoke great. But it was the meaning we attached. It's a belief we create. So then we create a little anxiety that says, yeah, you better not do that again. Better not do that again. So I'm going to give you a little stomach ache. I'm going to make you nervous and have some anxiety because I'm protecting you from being humiliated again. Doesn't mean you're not good at that, but I'm going to protect you because I certainly don't want you to experience that again. And now we're 20, 30, 40, and you're saying, I know what I'm talking about at work. Why am I so nervous? This is ridiculous. I'm the boss. And why am I fumbling trying to give a pitch or just to ask for the promotion? I have no self-esteem. I'm a loser. Why am I feeling this way? I should go in there and, your spouse is saying, go in there and ask for what you deserve. And you're like, yeah, but it's so hard. Yeah, because there's a part of you that says, don't do it. You might crumble. And so we go in and we find out why. And we say, yeah, but you're not 7 anymore. You're this and you have so much, you know what you're doing. So we just rewire the belief. We update it. We literally update it. And I think that's what's so amazing is we update our phones. We update our computers. We're just updating a belief system that's outdated, and it's fast. And we do that by repetition. And our subconscious mind, I want people to understand, is our body, because our body, we have physical reactions. Like when we see someone we're attracted to, we blush. Even if you don't want to blush, we blush, or we get embarrassed. We get embarrassed. We kind of physically, we show it, right? These are all subconscious things. You breathe, you're not thinking about it. It just happens. So your subconscious mind is just this thing that happens, but we can rewire these emotional responses and they just become who you are. You can rewire confidence. You can rewire ease. You can rewire a belief that I feel good about myself now. And you do that through an audio recording and repetition. And you mentioned energy. Yes. So it's very powerful when you move into the subconscious instead of why can't I do that? And the logic is not where the change happens in the conscious mind.
Yes.
So I'm talking a lot, but what does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. You're very eloquent when you explain this. I'm curious, you know, reclaiming your true self. How are we doing that? How are you bringing a woman to that point? And do you primarily work with women, or you work with men and women?
I do work with both, but I do primarily
Okay.
work with women. And
Okay.
yeah, but I do work with both, absolutely. And I even work with some kids and teens, which is amazing. And
Interesting.
yeah, and they really respond very, very quickly. But and I'll work with sports and lots of CEOs and executives and doctors and lawyers, and it really doesn't matter what you do. We all suffer and struggle, I'll say, with self-esteem and doubt. It doesn't matter how successful we are. We all have a place where we feel uh gosh, I wish I was a little bit more confident in this area, or I trusted myself a little bit more. Doesn't matter how high up we are, how much money's in the bank. There's always a part of us that feels there's more, there's more I can give. There's more potential. I think that's the human part of us that knows, gosh, I have more to give in this life. And that's, I think, what I love about this is we're always evolving and rising. So how I do that is, I think, bringing people back. There's a lot of noise in the world, social media, even if you're only on LinkedIn, I would say that most of my clients struggle greatly even when they go on LinkedIn, because the comparison comes in. They'll say, that person's more successful. That looks so easy for them. Boy, their business is booming, and I might be struggling in this area because everything looks so glamorous and great on social media. And we all know businesses has its challenges and life has its challenges, and we all go home and have stuff happening. So, bringing people back to their true self is finding out, where in our lives do we feel like we can't trust our inner knowing, our North Star, our intuition. And by quieting the noise, we all have intuition. We all have a gut knowing. And at some point, we decided to shut that down and think that some 5-step plan and control was more of a foolproof plan than actually listening to ourselves, because that seemed to have more evidence. And it doesn't matter what you do for a living. When we stop trusting ourselves, we're a little bit in trouble, because we have a gut and we have an intuition and we have a knowing inside. And doesn't mean the formula, the plan, the method doesn't work. But if you can't measure it against, that doesn't feel right for me, that isn't my style. You can't force yourself into somebody else's style or method or culture. You have to be aligned with your true self. It has to fit right for you. And I think so many times for high achieving women, we're shoving methods and ways, and it's just not aligned with us. When we align with who we are and we speak our truth, we're pretty powerful. Like, I don't like that. I like this. When we are aligned with our voice and who we are, we can walk into a boardroom, we can walk into a meeting, we can speak our truth, our ideas, our philosophies, we can execute what we want pretty fast. It's when we're trying to follow a method or control it that we think we have to do it a certain way. For me, it takes a long time to do that.
Mm-hmm. Overthinking it. So how do you guide someone to tap into that inner knowing and that intuition? I'm really big on that. I feel like in my 40s now, have gotten to a place where I do listen to myself more than I did. I did shove it away for a long time, and I would even circle back on something that had happened, and I'd be like, I knew that was not right. I knew it at
Yeah.
the time, and I just stuffed that feeling away. So how do you
Yeah.
guide people to tap back in?
Yeah. So I would go into hypnosis with you. And that just feels like a meditation, by the way. It's not like on Netflix, a weird trance or a weird moment. So it's just a guided type meditation feeling that gets you in a certain brainwave where you're quieting the conscious mind. And we're talking the entire time. And I would find out like a moment where you stopped trusting yourself or whatever the question, the thing you want to figure out. The first time that you stopped listening to that, the first time you doubted yourself, the very first time you questioned that thing. We would go back to specific moments, and you might go back to moments and scenarios and scenes that for you in hypnosis seem completely irrelevant. They might be, I'm eating cereal with my sister and I'm 7 years old and she said this to me. And many times we're in our mother's womb and we hear the doctor talking and our mom talking, and my mom and dad are arguing and I hear this thing and I don't feel wanted. Doesn't mean it's the truth, but it's the feeling and meaning we have. So these things sort of add up and they create an image and a picture of a belief and how it's formed. And so we're able to create a look and see. And I never come in with any preconceived ideas of what it's going to look like. It's different for everyone. I'm always blown away. It's incredible. And we're just guided and we can see, wow, can you see and look back at all these beliefs? What do you think ties in to how this is relevant to how you feel today? And always a client is able to see, wow, I can see how I believed that then and how this is impacting me now. And then we go back and we can see, can you see how that isn't the truth? How you did believe that at that age? That made sense then, but it doesn't make sense now. So when it's almost like when you realize Santa Claus isn't real, you don't need to go back to every single time you ever thought he was real, do you?
Right.
You don't go back every time you saw him at the mall and thought he was real. You just know he's not real anymore. You realize, okay, he's not real. I did think he was, but now I know he's not. And you have a paradigm shift. So you have compassion for the child who thought he was real. And now I know he's not. And you have a paradigm shift. You have a aha. And now you are a person who knows he's not. And you might be bummed for a little bit and you might be, you have to kind of adjust, but then you are okay. So you have like a paradigm shift and it becomes who you are and you see your life differently. So from there, you are empowered and you make choices differently. So it becomes who you are. Like, wow, that isn't who I am. These beliefs become empowered. So I create a custom audio recording for clients. And it takes about 4 or 5 hours to create this audio. It's the mind creates a new belief by images and powerful words. And by listening to that every day for about 21, sometimes 45 days, you listen to it. It's really relaxing. It's customized for you. And it's rewiring your beliefs to say that old thing that you believe that's really familiar, that's kept you safe. You're going to believe this one now. And over and over and over. It's like an exercise you do every day. It's like not that fun at first, but after a while, you're like, okay, I can do this, or a new food. And every day it's like, oh, this feels good. I feel empowered. I feel empowered. And then it's just, this is who I am. I feel stronger. I feel more confident. And so we're relabeling and your whole nervous system is recalibrating. And I do bring in energy healing and clearing as a Reiki master. So energy just gets clogged in our chakras and energy. And I find that just makes healing go a lot faster. I believe we're energy beings, and clearing your energy that gets stuck, just like anything, helps us just move energy so much faster when I do that.
I love that you're combining the two modalities. I've had really powerful Reiki sessions like in the past, various places with different people. But I've never had a hypnotherapy session.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the Reiki, yes, I was like dealing with something, and it did feel like it got cleared, and
Yeah.
it was really pretty magical, but then to be able to reprogram like you're doing is amazing. So taking it that next step of
Yeah.
shifting all those beliefs. I love that.
Yeah. Reiki is magical and amazing. I do it remote, which people don't realize that you can do remote because energy is energy. We all have, energy centers, and just like a sink gets clogged or something gets clogged, I think the most simple way to look at it is if you have an emotion that you're experiencing or an argument or anything going on, our energy is going to get sort of jammed in that area. And we can use a little bit of help to just clear it. And when you clear it, your flow, your energy, your chi can flow. So your creativity, your power can flow through. And so people that have never done Reiki will say, wow, I just feel lighter. I had a client, a man recently. He had been looking for a job for 2 years. And I don't even think he really believed in any of this stuff. His ex-wife, a friend of mine, recommended, why don't you do Reiki? Just give it a shot. And he's like, I'm desperate. I'll give it a shot. So came in and did a Reiki session and cleared. And in a week, he landed his job. He's like, I've been looking for 2 years, cleared all his beliefs, all his energy. He's like, I'm a believer, because he felt so much more confident, lighter, went into his next interview so much differently. He's like, I landed the perfect job, the perfect location, everything I wanted right away. And
Wow.
I know because I could feel his energy shift after that session. So that was a real happy ending.
That's so cool. I love that. And I believe it too. I believe that things just get clogged and need the movement and to move on from that. How did you transition from a corporate executive to doing what you're doing now?
Well, I had sort of just a complete collapse of my identities.
Wow.
Like a lot of corporate women and people. I was knocking on the door of 50 years old, and I was at that point, very peak of my career, very successful, leading teams, hundreds of people across the country, and just completely maxed out of stress and exhaustion. And I got to a point where my marriage at the time was not doing well. My health wasn't doing well. And my kids were about to go off to college. My oldest was about to go off to college. And I actually had quite a spiritual moment. I was just picking some weeds in my garden, and I had a moment. I wasn't planning on it. I was just picking weeds. And I heard a voice that just said, when are you going to stop trying to make everybody else happy and do what makes you happy? And it was just this undeniable moment. It was just a sort of a slap in the face, like, get your act together. And I sort of knew in that moment, this could not continue this way. I didn't necessarily leave corporate in that moment, but I knew my marriage was over. And that's sad. After 25 years, I knew I couldn't continue that path in corporate. And I think I just realized that I wanted to make a change. So what I did was I realized I needed to do a lot of inner work to figure out what I wanted to do. And I dove into therapy, which I was petrified of, and I had avoided. I had done a lot of spiritual things, and I think you can do a lot of spiritual things and still avoid a lot of deep inner work. So I'd done a lot of meditation retreats, but I did it on the outskirts of deep inner work. You can read a lot of books and still not go deep. So I dove into that. And from there, I actually discovered hypnotherapy. EMDR helped me tremendously. And it was in that process that I identified some beliefs about myself that were not even true about me. And that was when I had this moment when I realized there are so many high achieving women, just people walking around with beliefs around themselves that aren't even true. And they're shaping their families, how they parent, the way they show up in their corporate lives, just the way they show up in life. And they're not even true. And if they knew the truth of how incredible they are and how authentic and amazing they are, if we could shed the beliefs and the programs that aren't even true, how much lighter life can be and how quick it doesn't need to take years to shed these things. That's, I think, what blew my mind. And, I think as you age, and I got to that in the 50s, it's pretty cool because it's like, let's just live our lives and get over this stuff and shed those beliefs and allow people to find out, all right, that stuff's not true. Let me be me. Let me live a life of who I am. I get to be high achieving. I get to be successful. I get to make a lot of money, get to do this fun stuff. And I get to just say what I want to say and people please when I want to and not people please when I don't want to. And it doesn't mean I'm a mean mom or a bad person or any of those things. And I can say it with grace and live authentically. And so at some point I eased out of corporate and decided to go back to school and do this. And since then, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, not just a Reiki master, but I have probably 7 or 8. I'm a medical intuitive. I've just become an author, done many, many things. It's been a pretty busy 5 years and it's completely transformed my life. And now I have people in probably 8, 9 different continents that I see all over the world. And it's incredible. So,
Wow. That is
yes.
incredible. Do you think that that is possible for anybody? And it starts with hypnotherapy.
I think hypnotherapy is an incredible modality that I just love sharing with people because I think there's so many myths around it and a mystery around it. And, I think anything that dives into your subconscious, deep subconscious work is powerful. There is EMDR, there's other ways, but the hypnotherapy is so quick and effective. It's not scary. It's not painful. It's not weird. It's fast. It's effective. And the type that I do, a couple different modalities, because I think there's different styles for people, and I'm able to say, gosh, maybe you have a little bit more trauma. You have more anxiety. This might work better for you. And I just navigate and figure out, this one suits you better. And I think that's just about being good and figuring out what works for each person. But absolutely, I haven't found anyone that hypnotherapy doesn't work for unless you've completely decided beforehand, I don't like it, I don't want it. You're that powerful, you can absolutely decide it doesn't work. If you don't decide it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We are powerful enough to decide that, and I'm not here to convince anyone it works. So,
Yeah.
But it's incredibly deep and effective and fast.
So interesting. So would you, if someone came to you and they said, Christina, I'm self-sabotaging because I'm overeating, or they kind of know what they are doing. Like, do you address it very specifically like that? Like someone who is, or maybe someone who is addicted to alcohol or drugs, or can you use it in that way to target those specific things? Yeah.
Yeah, we target those specific things. We don't assume we know why. So we always go in and say, we let your mind tell us why. So the drinking, the smoking, the whatever is always the symptom. The why, usually a drinking or something is always a symptom of I don't feel connected, and that makes me feel connected. So we don't play a higher power. We don't play the master of your mind that created the symptom. We allow your mind to take us on a journey to tell us why it created that belief. And every single person will tell me why. I had a client who wanted to stop smoking and couldn't. We went back to a moment when she was 3. She had a swimming teacher she loved and adored like a mother who had smoking breath. And that meant love and connection like no other to her. So when she felt lonely, love and connection was smoking and the smell of it. There was no way she was going to let that go. But when we reassociated love and connection to something else, she was able to let that go. But when your subconscious mind has a visceral emotional attachment that's love and connection, why would it let it go? We have to redefine and rewire what that is. We could never have guessed that. Why would you guess that? We let the mind tell us.
Because that does not seem, yeah. Oh, wow. That's so
No.
interesting.
But she's beating herself up. I'm a loser. I can't quit. She's a nicotine gum, all the things. But her mind took us right there very quickly. And she's like, what? Where'd that come from? Well, her mind took us there very, very quickly. And this is over and over and over. It's very effective. I actually have right now I have probably 5 clients. I'd say 3 are doctors, very, very well-known, prestigious hospitals that want to have more control over how much wine they drink at night. They don't have profound problems, but they don't like the fact they can't control it. And we're going back, and none of them they said, I know why. Everybody says that. I know why. It's because my parents got divorced. I know why. None of it has anything to do with that. It has something to do with why do they feel disconnected from their self? Why do they feel this satisfies something else? So when I say the root, it's like you got to get to the root, because it's not about why you eat cookies because you're addicted to sugar. Well, why are you addicted to sugar? It's so much deeper than that.
Wow. I'm
It's
fascinated.
So much deeper. It's so much deeper. Yeah, it's never about money. It's never about sugar. It's never about the thing. It's about so much deeper.
Yes. And I feel like with the topic of self-worth and imposter syndrome and all of that, that's maybe harder to pinpoint for someone saying, oh, I know why I eat too much or why I eat too many cookies because I'm addicted to sugar. But like with that, it seems like something that is harder to pinpoint. If you're self-analyzing, I'm analyzing myself. Why do I feel this way? Right? That seems harder to pinpoint than something like eating too many cookies. So why do you think that so many of us are struggling with self-esteem and low self-worth and imposter syndrome and all of that? Why do you think that is?
I mean, it's rooted in this feeling of I'm not worthy and I'm not enough, which is an epidemic. And I think because we're trying to solve it with logic, we're trying to solve it with outside external validation to feel like we're enough. And we're trying to logically convince ourselves with proof and evidence, I'm enough. That isn't the core of why we feel enough. So we could continue more and more and adding it on and adding it on. And it never satisfies the feeling of I'm enough. When you get to the core of why don't you feel enough, it isn't difficult at all. I mean, spiritually, there's a book called A Course in Miracles. The very first lesson in A Course in Miracles is there's no order of difficulty in miracles. There isn't anything that's harder to cure, or not say cure, to heal than another. We don't, a higher power, God, universe, spirit, whatever you want to refer to, isn't saying, oh my gosh, that's harder to heal than this other thing. If whatever you believe in and tap into, imposter syndrome is not harder than this, or that illness is not harder than this. There's no order of difficulty in miracles. We find out what is the root. You have to have courage to go there. And courage means let's go and explore. It's painful to sometimes. We're scared to listen and see what we're going to find out. I was scared to go and explore I didn't want to know. I didn't want to know why I was avoiding all the things in my life. I literally had to get divorced and everything fall apart before I went to therapy. I get it. It's like, I don't want to know. And then when you find out, you're like, wait, I am enough. I all those things, those were part of why I felt that way. Those weren't true. Those were things I had to believe as a child to survive. I have so much compassion. When you have compassion for why you believe those things that create imposter syndrome, the love for yourself expands and expands and expands. And then you just become even more powerful, even more compassionate for yourself and others. That's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
That's a
That's so
powerhouse
beautiful.
that can change
Yeah.
the world. And when you change yourself, you heal others. You show your children, you show your work family, you show the world that they are enough. Like, let's knock the comparison out. Like, stop it already.
It's a thief of joy, right? And with
Yes, it's the
social
thief of
media,
joy.
thief of joy. And with social media, do you feel that has really just heightened that feeling for everyone? Because it's so easy to see what someone else is doing at all times and comparing yourself to them.
Yeah. And, I mean, we know we're all seeing a highlight reel, but we forget, we
Mm-hmm.
just forget we're seeing the highlight reel. And we even do it. I mean, I
Yeah,
show my highlight reels. We
totally.
forget,
Yeah.
we forget. And it is the thief of joy. And we're all craving more authenticity. We're all craving more connections. I mean, the number one deepest rooted desire in all of us is connection, and number one fear is rejection. I mean, if we go back to our tribal brain, we all have a tribal brain, and it is the fear of rejection. Back in the day, when we did live in those kind of communal tribes, if we were rejected, we didn't live, we didn't survive, it wasn't safe. So that actually is part of our makeup, to not want to be rejected. So again, we can have compassion for ourselves, why we do want to compare and why we want to feel connected and like others. But now, if you don't fit into a group or, you're not going to die. But viscerally, it is real. So learning how to calm our nervous systems and have discernment. I think discernment is one of the greatest gifts we can learn, like what's real and what's not real. Let's have discernment about my own truth. Let's get back to our own discernment, our sovereignty.
And discernment is becoming more crucial, I feel like, and I'm always resorting to what's happening on the internet, because that feels like it's so pervasive in our lives. And with AI, having discernment of that's a real person and that is not, which that's becoming increasingly difficult. So I worry about the next generation and our children and how their perception of things and situations and what's, I guess, normal and what's not. It's just becoming so blurred.
It is becoming blurred, and a great thing we have is nature, getting back out in nature and grounding. And we're not grounded, these electrical, all of our phones and things, but nature is such a great gift to just ground. And we know the difference when we're not grounded. And so often we're not grounded, but that's one of the tools and things that I'm doing with clients so often, in myself, is what does your routine look like to ground? Are you grounding every day? Are you taking a little bit of time, and then are you taking breaks throughout the day to reground and center yourself? I mean, I'll even ask people to send me their calendars. Like, where are you grounding? Where are you refreshing? Where are you recharging? I am.
Mm,
No, you're not. um,
yeah.
where do you breathe? Are you breathing? Are you taking a lunch? Are you like walking outside? Are you just literally even breathing fresh air throughout the day? I mean, let's just be honest. Are you going
Yeah.
outside and taking breath and breathing, or taking 5, 10, 15 minutes in the morning to say, let me just because when we get on our phones in the morning, what happens is you are experiencing all the things. Our mind is hardwired to go back to emotions from the past. So you're responding with emotions from the past. And what we want to do is make ourselves a new emotion familiar. So taking a moment to breathe in, like, how do I want this day to be? And grounding in that will guide your day. So a great exercise when we really want to ground is thinking of a moment in the last 24 hours I felt safe or empowered or confident. And it might be you smiled at a woman, or smiled at a neighbor, or had a nice conversation with someone you know. I think pets do this to us, like, because they have unconditional love. Like, I hung out with my dog or something like that. If you just think of a moment in the last 24 hours where you felt the confident or loved or something that feels good, and just breathe into that moment, very, very quickly, your cells will remember that vibe and that energy vibration, and you will recalibrate how you feel, and you get more of what you feel. You get more of what you feel. So what do you want to feel? I know when I read my emails, I don't usually feel that great. So I'm like, I'm behind, I'm behind, I'm behind. I got
Yeah.
to do that. I got to do this. So then I'm in this thing of I'm behind. I don't want to feel more of that. I want to feel more of something else. So I'm going to be accountable, be responsible for how you want to feel. Take the time.
I love that little exercise. So someone could do that at any point during the day to just bring themselves back to that positive feeling. I love
Yeah.
that.
And
Simple,
it takes
simple.
a pause. We do the spiral,
Mm-hmm.
we do the spiral, and awareness, like, oh, hold on, I'm spiraling. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
How do I want to feel? Let me go back to a moment. I promise you, I know you've had a moment of joy, a moment of something. Might have to go back a week, but you had a little moment that was good, and you can allow yourself to feel it.
Yeah, I have had more time this summer to take a moment and go walk on the beach. And,
Great.
I live close, and sometimes I just feel like I can't get there. But when
I
I
know, me
do,
too.
it really starts my day off right. And I went the other morning, and there were sea turtles
Oh,
going out into the ocean. And I mean, it's just magical. But, so when you're saying that moment, bring myself back to that moment, I think about being on the beach, but I can take myself there. If I could get out there and just walk for 10 minutes,
yeah.
it really changes my day and my perspective, and I feel so grateful. I feel that sense of gratitude. What are you doing? Because you mentioned, grounding throughout the day, breathing fresh air. What are some things that you're doing when you're busy, you're working? Are there any like little tips or things that you like to do? That exercise was a great one.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Yeah. So, I had trauma as a child, but so I need to shake out my energy. My nervous system gets in a state of panic or fight or flight. And I find that even if you didn't have trauma, there's a lot of high achieving people who get on this adrenaline, cortisol. Uh, their adrenal glands are very, very just kind of on overdrive. And
Yes.
so, just stopping and taking some deep breaths, even 4 deep breaths in and out. But even before that, I, like to shake out the energy. If
Yes.
you've ever seen an animal, even running afterward, or how they shake it all out, that it really, really works. So there's something called Osho Kundalini Yoga, or Osho. You'll look it up, and all they do is they kind of shake, but you do it just for a couple
Oh,
minutes and shake it all out, and then do the deep breaths. And it's kind of silly. You can close your office door or something, but it feels so good. You just shake it all out like a funny dance, and then do some deep breaths, and you feel refreshed. I'm a huge fan of journaling. Christina, feel, what am I feeling? And just expressing. There's a lot of power in writing. It's not for everyone. If you're resisting it, I challenge you to do it, because most clients that are resisting it eventually will come on board and actually have incredibly profound breakthroughs through it. So just that prompt, your name, feel, and it gets you in tune with how are you feeling? Because you probably don't want to write it because you don't want to get in tune with how you're feeling.
Right.
You know?
Why are you avoiding it? Is the reason why
Yeah.
you need it.
And it's
I love the shake it out thing because that is like, it seems like it has a very primal origin. Like if animals do it, that it's getting that, they probably do it after like a hunt, right? They're hunting another animal and they just shake it.
They do. They shake. Yeah. So even like fun, like your favorite song or music. But there's like Osho Kundalini music that's just, it's very staticky. You can put on, but yeah, your favorite music just to kind of, it could be 3 minutes. But it gets your energy out because we are energy. It's scientifically proven we are energy. So if you have a lot of tension, a lot of anxiety, a lot of, I have to do a lot of things, we can't be creative. You're not clearly thinking. You're not thinking about solutions. You can't. You can't think about solutions in that state. And you're about to walk into a meeting. You're about to walk into a conversation. You're about to look at your computer and try to solve something or make dinner or have your restful part of your night and you're wound up tight. Let it go, release it, do yourself a favor, listen to your body, get in tune, see what it needs.
Is there anything in particular you do before bedtime to relax yourself?
Yeah. So I like to chant, but that's not, something everybody does, but I like to chant because I like rituals. So I've learned to respect the rituals that calm me down. And so it might be singing or humming is very calming. So chanting, rituals, meditation, but I do journal my gratitude. And I also journal about what I'd like help healing. So I do ask for guidance from universe, God, angels, help me heal this. And then I do, what do I need to forgive? Who do I need to forgive? What do I need to forgive? And sometimes, boy, is it hard. You're not happy with someone. This is what I'd like to tell people is you don't need to know how or when. You can leave that up to maybe something of a higher power because we get so stuck in yeah, but they did this. I can't believe they said that. Let it go. You know what? I'd like help with how to forgive. Show me how. I'll let you figure out how or when, but I need help forgiving this person or this situation. I'd like to let this go. And I have found that very helpful because boy, like I can't figure out how to help, like forgive. Sometimes I'm just too pissed off or angry. But I want to forgive. And I know forgiveness is more for me than even the situation or person because holding on to resentment is a dangerous place to be. It's very low vibe and not good for our body.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so powerful. Help me to forgive this
Yeah.
situation or this person. Yeah. I love that. I love that. I want to know, can you talk about how someone can work with you, how they can find you? You work with clients all over the world. So interesting. So give us all your information.
Sure, sure. So my website is ChristinaLWoods.com and I'm on Instagram, Christina.lwoods. And I have a lot of free things. So ChristinaLWoods.com/free. I've got meditations and recordings and workbooks that people can grab and get a taste of what I do. But I do one-on-one work and I'm about to start a big group as well. And I'll do free things as well. So that's the best way to reach me.
Oh, very cool. So you do group sessions of hypnotherapy?
Yes, yes. I'll do, yeah, groups because, sometimes people just kind of want to get a flavor like, what is this thing? And I
Yeah.
understand that it's new. It's new for people. So if you want to kind of tip your toe in what it is but obviously one-on-one is more specific to each person. So
Yes, yes, for sure. No, it's fascinating work. This was such an interesting conversation. I loved it. I'm so interested in hypnotherapy and using it in my own life. And
Wonderful.
So thank you so much for coming on. This is fantastic.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning into this episode of The Cinnamon Effect. If you enjoyed our time together, don't forget to hit that follow button on your podcast app and sprinkle a little love by leaving us a 5-star rating and a quick review. Your support means the world to me. For even more goodness, check out the show notes where you'll find links to some of my favorite products. And don't forget to visit thecinnamoneffect.com to connect with me directly or to grab your TCE gratitude journal, your next step towards a more grateful life. I can't wait to spice things up with you again next time. Stay vibrant, stay inspired, and remember to add a little cinnamon to your life every day.